You know what time it is. Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2 just dropped, and oh boy do we have a lot to cover. Seriously, where do I even begin? After all, Daniel got kidnapped and put into a cage by Silver. Robbie got raped by Zora. Axel has beef with Miguel cause he's a simp. Kwon killed himself. Chozen basically got rejected by his childhood crush. Man hooked up with an even hotter Asian who even knows karate. Demetri is going to MIT, and he is officially better than Hawk. Demetri is going to MIT. Uncle Kreese took a knife to a teens karate tournament and, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's back up a bit actually. All in all, Part 2 was pretty great in my opinion, even if I did get spoiled on Quan's death the second Part 2 came out, or even if most of the dialogue was relatively cringy as usual, because we got goats like Johnny to carry the boats.
Appreciate you coming in, but there are no girls in Cobra Kai.
Why not?
Same reason there aren't women in the army. Doesn't make sense.
With all the out-of-pocket shit he says, I'm always genuinely laughing. Not even unironically because of how cringy the dialogue is sometimes. Like when Johnny was beefing with Wolf for the stakes and then later on, we found out he's the captain of the Iron Dragons. That shit was such a funny plot twist. And then there's even Johnny's dynamic with LaRusso. In part 1 I was like, damn, these guys are beefing again. This is so ridiculous. But on part 2 they kept switching between enemies and lovers so much that you just realize that they are not supposed to be allies. But they make it work somehow and it's just comical at this point. They're both good guys but they couldn't be any more different. We can't forget Chozen of course, if we're talking about Miyagi-Do senseis. Even though he got done dirty at the start by getting cooked in Okinawa in front of his childhood crush's shower boy. Him pulling up to the mixer and going insane was so unnecessary, but I fuck with it. That was hilarious. And even if Chozen lost the battle, he definitely won the war after Risen got the Korean sensei. That's two birds with one stone right there, because then you also get rid of an enemy as well. But can you really blame Sensei Kim for falling for Chozen? After seeing him pull up in that Bugatti scooter, how could you not fall for a man with so much aura and motion? Anyways, enough glazing. Kreese is out of jail and for some bullshit reason so is Silver. Seriously, what the hell? How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? At this point, we need to send these elderly citizens to Rikers or Guantanamo Bay, because apparently the valley doesn't have any laws. Genuine question to be honest. Do laws even exist in this show? Well, maybe they do. However, if they do, then they sure as hell suck. Because if Silver has to rely on a jobless bum like Stingray to gather prepubescent kids like Bert to testify for him, and then it actually works, that shit's diabolical. And then you've also got Silver placing bounties on LaRusso by using his Miyagi glazing against him. And all I can say to that is fair play. Because if you're blindly following directions on some random ass letter, just because it mentions some clues to your Scooby-Doo hunt for Mr. Miyagi's past, like you're the kid from It being lured into the sewers for some candy, then you deserve to get locked up in a dog cage by Mr. de Guzman. But yeah, Silver is so rich that he's practically invincible, and the fact that he keeps involving himself in all these kids' karate tournaments when he could just be chilling on an island somewhere just further proves that Silver is this universe's P. Diddy. And Kreese ain't off the hook either. Don't think I didn't see you sneak that Bankai into the tournament, Unk. And why the fuck is this guy always grinning for? His dumbass looks like he's about to say, "Let the games begin." Again, and if he does, then I'ma grab that shank and give Kreese a lobotomy to fix his schizophrenia. He definitely needs to find a new hobby though. Not only did he lose to Miyagi-Do again, but he for real tried to pick up the knife and crash out on Silver. I reckon we should talk a bit more about Daniel's son before we move on. Like, why does this guy have so many ops? I'm almost starting to feel bad for bro. He deadass has a whole Sinister Six. With every season that comes out, a new piece of Daniel's childhood trauma arrives along with it. Whether it be something huge like Silver, or some random ass grunt like Mr. de Guzman. But then I see LaRusso pulling up to the mixer just to use it as a chance to glaze Mr. Miyagi some more, and I think to myself, maybe it's okay that he keeps getting bullied by grown men to this day. Shit always do be hitting the fan for LaRusso though, I'm not gonna lie. He even found out that his papi Mr. Miyagi is a murderer, and in my opinion, it's not that deep. Because back in the days the Sekai Takais, were just built different. What's the bigger crime here is how they used AI in Miyagi's backstory. Because hey, if they are already using AI in high production series like Cobra Kai, then we're cooked really and truly. That's some laziness if I've ever seen it. How am I supposed to be in Cobra Kai Next Generations when the casting is most likely going to be taken over by robots? Well, at least Demetri got into MIT. Okay, but for real though, someone needed to shove some duct tape up his mouth. Bro was useless and just kept making problems worse all of part 2. Except for the end. He's literally the reason why Hawk kept looking like a weakling. He almost made Kenny join up with the Iron Dragons. He got dumped by his out-of-league girlfriend and basically almost got Miyagi-Do relegated twice out of the tournament. And it's all because he wanted to act like a big baby who couldn't take any accountability for himself. But luckily Hawk and Demetri made up before part 2 ended, so I could stop screaming into my pillow, and it resulted in an amazing team-up against that OP Korean guy. The show really cooked in the Cobra Kai vs Miyagi-Do episode, although I really could have done without hearing Chozen say, "Binary bros are back!" Furthermore, how does Chozen even know about
Demetri and Eli, binary brothers?
He wasn't even there when that was a thing. Just remember guys, you can't spell Demetri without M-I-T. But yeah, let's give a quick shout out to Hawk. To be honest, he's one of my favourite characters and I have a soft spot for him. The character arc he went through is my favourite in the series, and Hawk vs Robbie is so good. So seeing him get pummeled in every fight because Demetri was just being unreasonable was hard to watch. Especially when everything Hawk was saying in part 2 was just facts. But he got that in the end, so it's okay I guess. Brazilian Hawk was also a cool idea. He also looked really OP until Quan destroyed his ass. But I do love how it's not just Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai that are portrayed as strong in this tournament. If that wasn't the case, then I would be pretty disappointed. Let's give another shout out, but to Sam this time. You know, after witnessing some of the most unrealistic bullshit situations time after time for 5 whole seasons, you'd think this show couldn't surprise you anymore, but I stand corrected. Sam not cheating on Miguel with Axel whilst they walked on the beach was mind-boggling. I didn't know she had it in her to stay loyal, to be honest, but I stand corrected. I don't really have much more to say on that, but it needed to be acknowledged. Moving on, Kwon is the GOAT! The GOAT! I really fuck with his aura, and him just being a straight up menace with the broken accent is so fun to watch. Also, Robbie vs Quan cooked. It was simply absolute cinema. All I can say about Quan's death is that he had it coming. As much as I love the guy, in following Kreese's teachings was a recipe for failure. The anger consumed him after Axel low-diffed him. He grabbed Kreese's bankai and then got killed off. And even though Quan's death came out of nowhere, it was great writing. But once this show had some damn consequences. Quan's death showed us the fate that was awaiting for people like Kenny or Robbie if they stuck with the Cobra Kai teachings. And it taught all the viewers a valuable lesson. Never take advice from a schizophrenic elderly man who should be behind the bars. On a side note, it's hard to take these scenes seriously when you have Hawk in the background staring like this, and then you've got Demetri just existing and probably thinking about how he's gonna put all this karate bullshit behind him and go to MIT. And I bet Miguel was thinking about how he could have used Quan's death as a traumatic event in his Stanford admissions essay when he started staring at Quan's lifeless body. Speaking of Miguel, I think he is as good a character as ever. It was good how he won the 2v1 against those Russian roid heads, but it's a shame how easily Quan disposed of him. And to be honest, Miguel should have just been the captain, like for real. Have you seen this clip?
It's on. Dance team, assemble!
Will be okay with settling for this being our captain. But it's okay, I see the vision. They're gonna somehow get Miguel to face off with Axel in the finals, if the finals even happens at this point. You know, with that insane Royal Rumble. At the end, it's possible the tournament gets cancelled, but somehow the series needs to end with Miguel mugging someone in a fight, because the series started with him, so it's only natural. They already set up Axel's one-sided beef with Miguel as well, But even then, even if I did praise Sam before, how is she always causing problems? It's either from her directly or the problem has to do with her. Don't get me wrong, Axel's goofy as hell for this jealousy of Miguel, but why should we waste time discussing that when we could talk about how the Russians were using performance enhancing drugs? I think that's just hilarious, to be honest. That literally came out of nowhere. And so did the Russians getting their get back on the announcer after he got them disqualified, which caused the greatest shit show battle royale of all time to play out. And no matter how you slice it, the Iron Dragons are overpowered. From Wolf always surging with power after hugging all the meat, to Axel, who is probably the lost son of Ivan Drago, who is always getting abused by his meat-loving sensei. And then you've even got Zara, who is really strong. In bed. Yeah, there's no debating it, the Iron Dragons are just strong, bar none. And lastly, it's nice that Kenny cooked and won a 3v1 and all, but this doesn't change the fact that he shot himself in front of a hus. I really wish the show found a way to make Kenny lose, but didn't involve laxatives, because no matter what he does, he's always going to be the guy who shot his pants to me now, because of his humiliation ritual. What else can I say, except that I love a good tournament arc and Cobra Kai killed it. Rest in peace, Quan, and I'm so ready for the finale of Cobra Kai. I know I take the piss and give the show a hard time in most cases, but at least I'm not out here clowning referees for doing their job.
Point! Miyagi don't win! Point! Miyagi don't win! Point! Miyagi don't win! Point! Miyagi don't win!
That video had 200k likes as well. I'm telling you, nobody is safe in the show. If you so much as breathe, then you're getting cooked. So until part 3 comes out, like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on Demetri getting into MIT. And as always, see you all in the next video.